Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 670 of FloWrestling Radio Live. No CP today. He might just be a permanent mountain man now. I don't know if he's ever coming back. And no Ben Askren. He's doing some professional disc golf stuff or something. I don't know what he does. Apparently, he's kind of like a big-time celebrity or something and has better things to do than talk wrestling on the radio. But that's okay, because I am joined by one, John Kozak, to my right, and in the back, Andrew Spencer Spade, drinking a nice yerba mate back there.
Yeah, the good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Get that sweet, sweet sugary caffeine, baby.
Yeah, I'm open for sponsorship offers as well.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, right. Actually, yeah, no free pub. I take that back, what we just said.
Oh, I support Guayaki and their delicious yerba mate, whether they pay me or not.
All right, you guys have a good weekend?
Yeah, great weekend. Family time's always a good time, and ready to go for Fargo next week. This is gonna be my first time in Fargo. So
First time.
I know I'll be with you guys at the best hotel in Fargo.
Right.
Yeah, you just got to watch out for wolf attacks. Otherwise, it's great.
Yeah, of course.
I had a great weekend. Well, I guess me and Tyler actually split winnings. We were both involved. We were watching the fights, a little poker, a little Royal Rumble, a pool. I don't even know what you call it, but Tyler won that. I took some money off him in poker. Everybody left happy. At least us two did.
So Conor McGregor is probably pretty much done, right? At least with like his serious MMA career, he might go do some more big fights, but like he'd probably never competing for the title again, right?
Yeah, I don't follow it closely enough, but I think they make a lot of money when he fights. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna tune in. He's fun. His fight was fun to watch, but it's like, you know, he lost his last two, and however many when was last time he seriously fought. It's been a handful of years, I feel like. So
it's been a handful of years, but again, I think if they make money, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what the inner workings are like, but I just assume.
Yeah, they're already talking about him, Dustin Poirier, Conor, round 4.
Yeah, they'll just keep running that out forever. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
it makes more money for Poirier than he would fighting anyone else.
Yeah, they're gonna get my money. I'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining every time.
Count
there
JD
really
in.
is kind of nothing like a Conor McGregor fight. He's been by far the biggest person of like my generation. You hear the older generations talk about, you know, everyone would gather to watch Muhammad Ali, and then it was Tyson, you know, in the late 80s and 90s, and that's, you know, who everyone would tune in. It was a spectacle, and I feel like Conor McGregor has that kind of draw. But, you know, you start making money, maybe you start not really training so hard, and you're not as driven.
Yeah, it's tough to stay hungry, but yeah. Also, Muhammad Ali did a lot more winning than Conor.
Well, Conor did a lot of winning in the beginning in his rise to fame, but not as much anymore. Muhammad Ali lost a lot at the end of his career too.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess I got to check the history, but all right. JD's in for the next Conor McGregor show. I'll be there too. Maybe. Who knows?
I will say, if I was making millions of dollars, you know what I wouldn't do? Get in a ring with another professional trained fighter and get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And break my ankle and stuff.
Whether I would make a lot of money or not, I'm still not getting in a cage with someone that wants to knock me unconscious or do grievous bodily harm to me.
I would do it for some amount of money, at least.
Hey, everybody's got a price.
Nah, that's right. All right, let's maybe get into wrestling talk. You know, this is a wrestling show. And some coaching news over the weekend and last night. BJ Futrell was announced as an assistant at Penn. Good for him. I know he's from the Philadelphia area, I do believe. So
I think Chicago.
Or Chicago?
Yes.
Or he spent time in Pennsylvania.
He's been at the PRTC since I think the beginning. I mean, he's also been Titan Mercury, so shouts to them. But yeah, he was there in 2018 when we were up there on the Final X road trip. He's been injured a lot in his senior career. He's always been close to that national team up on that ladder. But pretty sure he's Chicago area and University of Illinois.
Right. And I know he was also involved with the Beat the Streets program in Philly while he was there too. So he keeps doing cool stuff like that. Good pickup for the Quakers. And, you know, Penn's, they're kind of building something. They're both with the school and the RTC, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're RTC for sure, as you know, what I follow closely, and the momentum that they have as they brought on McFadden and Mark Hall and Joey McKenna, and now
Jordan Burroughs.
And so it just seems like they have a lot of good things going there, and so it'll be fun to watch them over the next few years, both their RTC and obviously the school.
Absolutely. And then last night it was announced Tristan Moran is headed out to the West Coast. He'll be a volunteer assistant at Cal Poly, joining the Wicks. So,
yeah. Speaking of moves, Cal Poly picking up a big 3-time All-American, and now you got a good volunteer assistant, Tristan Moran. Good energy, a good teammate and leader, and excited to see him do big things out there.
Absolutely. Following along, still with the name, image, likeness news, Spencer Lee officially filed a trademark for "Excuses Are for Wusses." So I'm guessing he's going to try and make some money off some merch.
Yeah, we need
stuff like that.
We need to say this phrase as much as we can before he gets the trademark, right?
Yeah, you guys all owe him some money.
Not yet. Just filed yet. I don't think.
I don't know how copyright and all that works, but I'm pretty sure
that's true. I should talk to my legal team.
Yeah, you're going to be in debt to Spencer Lee for a while. And Iowa Style apparel line. I don't know if that came up in previous shows, but that's Mark Ironside is that's his company. I don't know exactly if he's the founder, if he's the owner, but I know he's basically in charge, I think. But that's keeping it in Iowa, keeping it with the Hawkeyes and the Hawkeye family, and it's like legend and legend teaming up makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Did you see it? Ironside was doing some racing a while back. Their man Andy Hamilton went out and joined him on the racetrack.
I think I saw that. I don't know anything about racing.
Yeah, he just was like a really big fan of racing. Was like, you know what? I can get out there. I can do this. So
he's out on the track.
He went Iowa Hawkeye with this car. It was kind of cool.
Was Andy racing too?
Andy was not racing.
Oh, okay. Good.
I do think you got to go down in the pits and stuff, though.
Oh, that's cool.
And to hang out with Ironside. So kind of cool.
Yeah.
More news. The Olympics released their COVID testing protocol, procedure, what have you. And at least for me, it's kind of raising some questions. They didn't get into super detail. But here is the procedure. In wrestling, if an athlete is not able to compete due to COVID-19, the athlete will not be disqualified and will be marked as DNS. The opponent receives a bye into the next round. In case the athlete has reached the final and is no longer able to compete due to COVID-19, the athlete eliminated in the respective semifinal will fill the vacant place and compete in the final. So, that means, insert wrestler X. Team USA makes the final, beating Japan, and then is not disqualified but can't compete because they test positive for COVID. The wrestler they beat, Japan, gets to go and compete in the final.
Yeah. So now what happens to the person the wrestler that earned a spot in the final?
Are they doing like double silvers?
Double silver, yeah.
Yeah, or do you not get a medal? It didn't say in this release.
I don't imagine they wouldn't be on the medal. It's the whole. I definitely think it's a good idea what they're doing in that they are saying we don't want like a walkover or a closeout because somebody makes a medal round and then we don't have a match because they test COVID from day 1 to day 2. It's that day 1 to day 2 time period that they're worried about.
Close it out. That the person didn't earn a silver medal. You didn't make it to the final. You didn't make it to the next round.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like, you didn't make it.
You're saying that's suspect to even just advance the guy.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't test positive for a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah, so you would.
If a guy misses weight, they vacate the spot. There's no it's not the next guy up.
Right. If you got seriously ill with some other thing, not COVID.
If a guy injury defaults, they don't. Okay, now you get to go up, but COVID.
So you would rather it just be guy makes the final, test positive, silver medal.
Yes.
Gold, let the bronze medal match
also
play out. Right.
Like we said, they at least better do a double silver, because if I made an Olympic final, then test positive for COVID and I can't compete, and they saying nope, you don't get a medal, and the guy you beat gets to wrestle for a medal.
Yeah.
Like,
gosh.
That's infuriating.
Yeah, I hope we don't see this.
Yeah, I do feel like the odds of this happening are slim, but there's still a chance.
Well, and it's stupid too, because if you are caught on that side with a bad draw, so say David Taylor, Hassan Yazdani, 2018, they met round 1. David Taylor makes the semis, beats Kurugliev. Yazdani doesn't get to wrestle back.
Yeah.
Kurugliev just gets to go to the finals, and Yazdani's wrestling for bronze. So it puts so much emphasis on the draw, too.
But think about if the other semifinalists, like on the the good semifinalists on the bottom side, or the top side, rather, because that's the weak side, makes it, and then you're Yazdani in that scenario, and you're like, are you serious? Like, this was my draw, and then the good guy from the top side of the bracket is actually out.
Yeah.
The one thing I do appreciate that they're advancing someone to get a match is because this is the Olympics, and wrestling only has this very few opportunities to compete on this stage and in this event. And so to have a injury default gold medal match is a missed opportunity to showcase the sport. Now, I know there's all these other problems that come with it, but at a certain point, just the fact that it's the Olympics may override other concerns is where I could see UWW coming from, because they're like, we get one crack at the Olympics, and now we had to push this a year, and this is the most... they're being overly cautious, and I see the concerns. I just I do want to give UWW credit, maybe playing devil's advocate here a little bit, that at least they're thinking of the bigger picture of also we're not just not having matches. We need to have something to show for our sport here at the Olympics.
Yeah, and I think the Olympics, it's such a small tournament as opposed to Worlds, where the matches, the matches you're going to get. It's a 16-man bracket. So I think maybe a better solution would be, hey, just wrestle it in one day. That way you remove any of the, well, if he tests positive, he competes one day and then tests positive the next day, then he can't, what I mean?
For the people that make the finals, there's 2 matches. The pre-quarters and quarters, and then the semis are going to be on day 2.
Right.
The schedule is weird because of the time difference, so that it actually is over 3 days instead of 2, or it's I don't know the schedule. I forget the way certain things are broken out. It's like it
3 days our time, because a session will start at night and end in the morning.
Yeah, because there's 2 sessions a day. So if they're in the evening session and then they're not in the morning session the next day and their evening session the next day, that's actually over 3 days, not 2.
Yes,
I think that's it. Yeah, I couldn't wrap my brain around that. But yeah, there's not. I say go to round robin, but because it's not the limitations for the Olympics. A lot of people are like, oh, they don't want us to have as many medals or weight classes or all that. The limitations is people, like bed spaces, and the Olympic Village can only hold so many people and have, in each sport only gets so many spots, and then you need the gym space. But because they're now down to 16 people per weight class and 18 total weight classes across the 3 different divisions, you could have, pool play, round robins, guarantee everybody gets at least 2 matches, that kind of thing, if you want it. But I see why they do the tournament knockout style.
Mm-hmm.
Should we actually dive into more Olympic talk? I know that was kind of scheduled for later, but since we're already on the topic.
Yeah, I don't think we have to be slaves to the FRL 670 doc.
I'm going to be slaves to anybody. Certainly not this document.
Yeah, we can call an audible.
Yeah. So, Kozak, you've been working on Olympic previews and whatnot, and we wanted to... You made some brackets, so we kind of wanted to look at what those are going to look like with the seeds and maybe some best and even possible worst draws, worst-case scenarios for the Americans.
Yeah. So the seeds are set for those who maybe don't follow it super, super close. The top 4 seeds are set, and these are not by head-to-head. They were earned at the World Championships, how you finished at that weight, and then other various ranking series tournaments throughout the past 2 years. So top 4 seeds are set at every weight. So we can kind of go through, each bracket. I don't know what the best way to do this is, but then I thought it would be fun just because there is random draw to create the worst possible draws for our guys just to see like, okay, this is worst possible. So that
Yeah,
way,
that's super fun.
it is so much fun. No, but the fun part is hopefully they're not going to be this bad, right? And so then when we do see the draws, like, oh, okay, this is, it could
Anything
be,
is better than this.
It could be worse. Yeah,
yes,
it could be
prepare
worse.
for the worst. This is exactly it. You get
Always undersell so you over-deliver.
And then you'd be 100% if you have the worst case scenario in mind when the draws come out. Then you're not like, all right, we're getting screwed by these draws left and right. It's like, oh, okay, well, at least it's not the draw of death that John Kozak came up with on FRL 670.
Exactly. Yeah, and hopefully the Olympic Committee or UWW doesn't use my brackets as the random draw.
They just take them and they're like, hey,
like,
this guy already did it.
He
Sweet.
did the draw. Yeah, because that's not what these are intended for. This is purely entertainment. So, do we want to go through like a weight at a time and then just go through the death bracket?
Yeah.
Right after we put the seeds in there.
Yeah.
So
start at 57.
Yeah. So 57, our top seed is Serbian Stevan Micic. He took 5th at 2019 Worlds, and then he wrestled in a whole bunch of the ranking series. The defending world champion is Zaur Guev from Russia. 3 seed is 2019 world silver medalist Suleiman Atli from Turkey, and then the 4 seed Ravi Kumar, world bronze from India. So we can show the bracket of death here and see what I came up with, and you can talk about maybe where you would have put Gilman, but I put him drawing Aguev first round. I feel like that is like the worst possible scenario for Thomas Gilman.
Yeah.
Or that means he's probably going to get pulled into the repechage.
That's true. Yeah, there you
It's
go.
actually like if you get Sadalayev in your bracket, first round, hey, I will have a better chance of wrestling for a medal probably. Now, I don't know, Aguev is not as big a favorite as Sadalayev, but I feel like a worst case scenario for Gilman is a repeat of 2016 when Dan Dennis had a horrible matchup with
Dubov.
Yes, Dubov, who just gutted him out of the tournament, and then Dubov didn't make the finals and wasn't favored to make the finals, and it's like, man, you lose to Dubov, who's tough, but was getting up there in years in 2016, and that was it for him. So, Gilman, Aguev is definitely the scariest guy in there, but man, you get like would you
put
Sanayev or an Atri, or actually Hartunian is a scary guy. That's a very young Armenian, who's very good, and you have him ranked, it looks like 8th in the Olympic rankings. So of all the wrestlers that are slated to be in the 57 kg bracket, he's the 8th best, but he's a very dangerous guy. And then if he runs into like Aguev next, that would be a one and done for Gilman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this does a good job of showing like all of the really good guys who aren't ranked. So Takahashi. So, if you go by this bracket and Gilman gets by Aguev, and then he could have Takahashi second round, who has 2 past wins over Gilman in matches that were close on a scoreboard, but Takahashi was kind of in control of those.
Maybe Gilman's do, though.
But maybe Gilman's do. Yeah, right? But I think that's another thing, like I was saying, is this does a good job of showing Takahashi's not seeded. Atri's not seeded. Hartunian's not seeded. Sanayev isn't. So you have some of these really, really quality guys who could medal that Gilman will see first or second round.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it. 65, probably the deepest, but 57 is right up there because you go down and you have quality guys. John, you got Micic number 12, which, no offense to the people of Serbia or the Cliff Keen Wrestling Club or any other Micic fans out there. This is a guy that, a 2-time European medalist, I believe, placed 5th at Euros or at Worlds, and then the 2020 individual World Cup, and the number 1 seed, but only 12th in the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we wanted to, do the inverse of this and look at, okay, where would a good place for Gilman to be? Obviously, it's up top, and you could, he could get a really great draw, and he could get somebody, like the Algerian or the Colombian to first round, and then catch maybe Erdinabat second round, who Gilman has a past win over. So things could be a lot better than this, and hopefully they are. And so there is a scenario where it's not a shocker if Gilman makes the semis or even makes the finals. But like I said, we're given worst case first, so that okay, if he gets a good draw, we are pleasantly surprised.
I don't know. And I think kind of like Spay, seeing Niguyev, I would lean towards maybe having, one of those 2, 3, 4, 5 guys first, and Niguyev on the same side as a worse draw, rather than Niguyev right off the bat. And if Gilman were to wrestle Niguyev at any time, excluding a medal match, I think you would want to have it the first match of the day right off of the scale. Yuguyev's not an insanely big 57, but I don't think it's the easiest form to make, and obviously Gilman, it's not too much of a problem, and maybe Gilman could, put a pace on him, wear him down a little bit, take him to some deep waters. I think that would be the path to victory against Yuguyev, and wrestling him right off the scale. First match does it instead of one match, get Yuguyev a warm-up, another couple hours under his belt, and then wrestling Gilman.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think I was kind of learning as I was going along here. So you'll see that strategy play out in later brackets where I didn't give the American like the toughest match right off the bat. So I think I learned my lesson with 57.
And the other thing to keep in mind when I was saying about the depth, I mean, there are so few easy outs. You mentioned Algeria. Maybe we're sleeping on Diamantino Ayuna Fafe of Guyana-Bissau, but between Colombia...
I would never.
No, never. No, don't sleep on West Africa. Colombia, Guyana-Bissau, and Algeria. But then number 13 on your, which is it's a great piece of content, the Olympic qualifier men's freestyle rankings. But then number 13, Minggu Liu of China, I think has wins over, or at least one over Dayton Fix.
Dayton Fix from
Pelicon.
Yeah, and it's just like a tough, pure 57. He's a very small guy, but very strong. It might be fresh. If you see him early, I mean, that's like, you got 3 guys that were, no offense to them, but we're saying are your best bets for a win. And then 13 is tough. So a lot of landmines here. And then, of course, Gilman's tough, too, world silver medalist, and we know what he can do.
Yeah, so that's 57. We can skip 65 and maybe go straight to 74.
You don't want to talk about 65? It's a fascinating weight class.
Maybe we can end with that.
Oh, with a closer, okay.
Yeah, a closer.
No Team USA.
Yeah, just because no Team USA. Unless we want to hit it right now, I don't know. But
you drive this bus.
All right, I'm driving the bus. I actually did try to get my bus license one time, and I failed the test.
What?
Dude,
wow.
You didn't have to say that.
Yeah.
I would have never known.
I know.
No one wants to know what other driving tests you may have failed. Commercial driver's license? Could you ever get behind the wheel of an 18 wheeler?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So we'll see. But anyway, 74 kilograms. Frank Chamizo, number 1 seed, as he was also, or no, was he that 2019 Worlds? He was at least opposite of Burroughs and Sidikoff. So he's talked about in the past where he's really valued the seeding and getting.
Well, yeah, because remember what tournament was it? Pelicon, where he wrestled and then forfeited out of the final against JB because he had the top spot locked up. Yeah. So he kind of values that seed, and he's not going to do anything to mess that up. So he got the top seed. Number 2 seed, Sidikoff, 2-time defending world champ. 3 seed is Kaisanov from Kazakhstan, who world bronze, and he got the world bronze from Kajiev from France. He lost in the bronze medal match at 2019 Worlds, and Kajiev tested positive for an illegal substance, and so Kaisanov was moved up to bronze. And then Hossein Khani from Iran is the 4 seed. So those are our seeds.
And then if we want to show my my bracket of death here, so I did a little bit of the strategy, JD, that you were talking about is don't give the American the best guy right off the bat. Give him somebody tough. And so I gave him Kinshadze, who's past world medalist, who's really good. I think, does he have a win over Chamizo maybe? I'm not sure. I should check my own preview for that. But yeah, you can. So
let's ask the expert. Kozak, does he?
Yeah, I gotta check the preview. So if he gets by Kinshadze, who I have Kinshadze ranked, I think number 4 in our Olympian rankings, and those are all based on head-to-head matches with the rest of the Olympic field. So he gets by Kinshadze, then he would have Sidakov second match, and I gave Sidakov Madonna, who is, I think it's his like 3rd or 4th Olympics.
He's definitely made 3.
Yeah, and I think he's like 37 years old.
Yeah, he's another dude from Guyana-Bissau, like his teammate Fafe. But he wrestled Burroughs twice, once at the Olympics and once in Worlds, and just gave Burroughs fits. It wasn't like Burroughs was ever in danger of losing, but I believe he may have injured his knee in 2014 against him when he lost to Sargouche.
Yeah.
And just had it's just a tough out. So that goes to show you, 74, you don't think of it as having the same depth as elsewhere, but, Madonna, he's still out there, man.
Yeah, and actually, I should have got the clip. Sidakov and Madonna did just wrestle at the Sassari, and Sidakov cradled him up and pinned him. I think it was like 8-0. So that's why I chose him there first round.
So he's real tough, but if you cradle him up and pin him, then you can take care of him.
That's one way you can beat him.
One of his weaknesses is getting pinned in a cradle.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, also on that side, you have Kaji Magomedov, who has a win over Sidakov from, I think, 2017 Russian Nationals. And then also, who else I got up there? Beksad and Kasanov. So, if Dake were to get by Kinshadze, get by Sidakov, then he meets Kaji. And then, in the finals, I kind of put Chamizo up there all by himself with, some solid guys. I don't know if there's anybody up top that maybe you would think you'd want to see on the bottom side, or I don't know. What do you guys think about this bracket of death?
I think Dake makes it the deathly side of the bracket.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think other people are trying not to have Dake drawn onto their side.
Dude, shut up. You picked Sidakov.
Yeah. First of all, that is to inspire Dake, and if Dake wins, then it is because of
You reverse psychologically.
Yeah, because he wanted to prove me wrong and humiliate me for my pick, which I will appreciate.
Wow, you're really taking that bullet for Team USA.
I'll do it. I'll sacrifice myself and my reputation by picking against this great American. But look, I agree that Dake is the number 2 guy. I mean, how can you not say that? He beat Chamizo. Yes, it was a 79, but they both made 79, and Dake could have made 74. It was a weird time with the pandemic. But I think Dake is clearly number 1 or number 2. I think it's very close. You could make Dake the favorite in the bracket if you were Vegas, if you wanted. I think Sidakov's a slight favorite, and I went with Sidakov. But I think if you look at, the best guy not to get a seed, it's clearly Dake. I definitely favor Dake over Kinshadze. Other guys that didn't get a seed, Kaisanov, as you mentioned, Kozak. I don't want to use the word fraudulent, but look, he didn't actually, stand on the podium for his bronze medal match. Kajiev of France cheated, so he doesn't. He forfeits that medal, and Kaisanov gets it. But at the same time, is he a top 5 guy? I guess so. But you don't worry. I don't think of drawing Kaisanov or Hosenkani of Iran, who, Iran's been looking for a 74 replacement since Burroughs retired Gudarzi. So, it's not you don't worry about anyone else besides Sidakov and Chamizo, but those are the guys that you do need to at least game plan about, and then everybody else, the guy that I don't want to see for Dake is Gajimurad Gajiev from Azerbaijan. Just because he's so young, I want to tire him out. I don't want to get him early. He was junior eligible, we assume, in 2019. So, no reason to.
That's the guy that Dake rock bottomed.
Oh, yeah. So you get him again, maybe, but you give him a couple years since then, and
yeah.
And then the Belarusian former Dagestani that you mentioned, Kady Magomedov, he's fairly young, I believe, but those two guys I would think would be, besides Sidakov and Chimizo, the next two guys on my list of people in this field that may give Dig a hard time. But otherwise, I mean, it's like, yeah, everybody else in this field is like, Dig, please do not get on my side of the bracket.
Yeah.
We will be fine with either Sidakov or Chimizo having to contend with them.
Yeah, so I went back and checked my my preview, and Kenchadze doesn't have a win over Chimizo. He lost to Sidakov 2-2 in the 2018 World Finals, and then he has a loss to Chimizo 4-4 and 9-4 in the past. So, but still respectable.
Yeah. I mean, Georgians are going to they're going to have somebody good.
Yeah. All right, 86 kilograms. I'm driving the bus. Hassan Yazdani, the number one seed, 2019 world champ, 2017 world champ, 2016 Olympic gold medalist.
The greatest.
Yeah, that's what some people call him. The second greatest, Deepak Punia from India. He
forfeited to Yazdani in 2018.
Yeah.
Terrible. In the final.
In the world
Didn't
finals.
have COVID at the time either.
Yeah.
No excuse.
I respect any Olympic wrestling athlete that looks like has his body frame. So.
Between Madonna being in his late 30s and Deepak Punia having a one-pack.
Madonna being a female pop star and going to this many Olympics in wrestling is phenomenal.
Yeah, having a name like a world-famous pop star.
Yeah.
Very commendable.
Yeah. So Deepak Punia, 2 seed. Miles Amin, the 3 seed. And then Artur Nifanov from Russia, the 4. So Nifanov was world bronze. Both Yazdani and Taylor have pinned him in the past after Nifanov has taken them down and scored a couple points on him. So it's kind of interesting to look at that matchup there.
That was a Urigan a couple years ago, right?
2018 Urigan.
Yeah, so Nifanov real young then.
Yes. Yeah, and we do like to pick on Deepak, but he's pretty young too. He just won. What did he win? Juniors in like 2018. So I think he's a junior world champ, and he might even be a cadet world champ also.
Yeah, 2019 junior world champ.
Yeah. So yeah, we like to give him a hard time, but maybe he'll surprise us.
That was the year Trent Hidley took 3rd. He's in the UWW database as Trend Hidley.
Was it the same weight class?
Yeah.
Wow.
Trendsetter, Trend Hidley.
Wow. Yeah, never would I pick Deepak Punia to beat Trent Hidley, but
yeah, to win a bracket that Trent's in.
Yeah, but that's wrestling, right? So
it's baseball, baby.
Yeah. So we can show our bracket of death here. So I did a little bit of a different strategy with this one. Is I didn't give David Taylor, Yazdani in the first or even in the second match. I gave him in the third match. And so you can agree or disagree with me there, but I gave him a Shabanov first round from Belarus, who has a win over Yazdani. That was way back in like 2015 or 2016. And then I gave him Nifanov second round so that he would have to get by those 2 guys first. And then I gave Yazdani kind of like 2 patty cake matches that he could just kind of walk through so that he's nice and fresh in the semis after Taylor has maybe had 2 harder matches. So that was my strategy with 86.
I concur. This is how I would have done it as well. And then just looking at this and then thinking about who would come out to face them on the bottom side is not making me happy.
Yeah.
It's weird. So 86 in my mind should be an extremely deep weight class, just for the nature of how
humans are built.
World-class athletes and Olympic-level athletes, what size those people would be. 189, you can cut down, so around 200 or so. In the wrestling world, I guess people skew a little bit smaller. But as far as depth goes, there's countries here that you just don't expect, and some of it was that 2019 World Championship bracket was really weird, and so a very uneven bracket. So, you have Switzerland qualifying where you wouldn't normally expect a Swiss person. I don't think that they've ever had an Olympic wrestler, at least in modern history. But then Stefan Reichmuth, and I think you have him ranked properly here, number 12th, ahead of Colombia, Peru, Nigeria, and Algeria. None of those are just strong wrestling nations. Colombia can produce, some tough guys, but then you have Makoev, Takatani, just not guys that strike fear. Certainly not into a wrestler of the caliber of David Taylor. And the rest of the guys on here have losses. Miles Amin, I think you favor David Taylor over Miles Amin. No offense to Amin. I think 4 is good. I think, people might overlook Miles Amin. He's certainly capable of meddling. But, he has that win over Shabanov, and then it goes Deepak Punia, who we just talked about, Shapiev. Nate Jackson has a win over him, number 7. So, I think it's, David Taylor, he has to match up. Maybe I would say hitting Nifanov first would be worse than going Shabanov, then Nifanov. But, those two guys, and then having Hassan Yazdani next, third, I think is definitely the toughest.
Yeah.
The toughest possibility for him. But it's more likely that David Taylor gets somebody that he has a much easier time with first or second than that he draws this perfectly crafted racket of death.
Yeah, and a guy to watch that you did mention, Shapiev. He has been on a run as of late. I think he just won. He just won, I think, the Aliyev, and he beat a couple of tough Russians, Valiev, who was a past world medalist, and maybe somebody else that had just won, Urigan. But he's been on a run to where he's moved up in the international rankings, but because of he hasn't hit the head-to-heads for our Olympian rankings, so he's ranked ahead of everybody, but Taylor, Nifanov, and Yazdani in the international rankings, but then he's ranked behind in the Olympian rankings because they haven't met head to head. But if you look at, Taylor could get just the dream draw if he's down, on the bottom, with no disrespect to Miles.
He deserves it after his draw in 2018.
Yeah, right.
That was a gnarly brag, and that's what gives you, confidence in David. It's a couple years later for sure, and these guys are not, pushovers. Makoev is not, he earned a medal, whether you think that's a fluke match against Jaden or not. Takatani is a medalist. Zhu Xinlin from China is solid, a solid dude.
Just beat Takatani, yeah.
Yeah, but you just I don't know. You can't doubt David Taylor. I mean, you could bring up all the reasons why, but it's still it doesn't seem in the realm of possibility.
He got the death draw in 2018 and he won.
Yeah, and he looked awesome. It was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
He got knocked out in the way on his death draw.
He's
it literally was a death draw.
He pulled a Chumbawamba.
Yeah, he got knocked down, got back up again.
That's right.
And won.
Did the dang thing. America.
That's right. So
he is the bad draw, just like Dig.
So Olympic committee that's in charge of random draw, if you want to use this bracket, go ahead. We give you the
or don't.
Yeah, you don't have to.
We still have supreme confidence in our guy either way.
That's right. Yeah.
Feel free to put him, against Pool Ambrosio of Peru first. That's fine too.
Yeah, we're cool with that. We're cool.
No offense, Peru.
No offense, Pool. All right. 97 kilograms.
Stop now, sorry.
97 kilograms. This is the only weight in men's freestyle where our athlete has earned a seed. And that is, of course, Captain America, Kyle Snyder. He's earned the number 2 seed, and he is opposite Sadulayev as the 1 seed. And then you have 2 guys who they placed. So Nurov took bronze in 2019, and he beat Yergali, who took 5th. And so both of those guys were not seeded going into Poland, and they both wrestled there, and they got enough seeding points to go over Sharifov, who was the number 3 seed. So now Sharifov is unseeded, and then also kind of looming out there is Mohammedian. So that gives you a little preview of what I did with the bracket of death for Kyle Snyder, so we can show that. I gave Snyder right off the bat. I gave him Mohammedian, and I think a guy like as I've watched him more over the last couple months, Mohammedian, he seems to want to put it on you really quick. He wants to score and get ahead and make you attack him. And that's what happened in Kyle's first match against him. If you go back and watch it, I've done it a couple times, and how Snyder got behind there was he really over pursued, and he was really on the attack, and Mohammedian was just able to counter and able to capitalize off of Snyder's attacks and over pursuit, and that's how Snyder got into trouble. And so I think getting Mohammedian fresh is a problem. And if you can keep the score close, if you can really hand fight with him and make it a close match into the second period, I think he slows down a lot.
The dude's stamina is definitely not his strong suit.
Right. That's a much simpler way to put it.
Yeah. This is a really interesting field to me because it's got so much experience, would be the kind way to put it. But you go down and there's Saritov and Ibragimov, 2 Russians, I believe Osetian and Dagestani, but wrestling for Romania and Uzbekistan, who were on the medal stand with Kyle and Gojumov, who is the only one that's retired, but he would probably make this field if he did not retire.
Yes.
And just a lot of veterans. Otakadze, Sharifov is a 2012 Olympic champ.
Yeah.
And this was brought up, I think CP tweeted it. 3 Olympic gold medalists in one bracket. That means you have some veterans, but Kyle is still one of the young guys here. Mohammedian is probably the next youngest. Sadulayev, I guess.
Yeah.
Karadenis, that's the youngest group up there. And then Otakadze, Cunyedo's not too old, but veterans all the way down.
Right. Yeah, and that Karadenis, he is younger, and he took over the spot within just the last year, and he has 2 wins over Otakadze this year. So he's a guy who could make some noise, and is worth watching just to see how he does against the veterans in this field. But to kind of prove your point, Spay, as I was putting this list together and going back and looking at all the times these guys have wrestled, this field has wrestled each other more than any other Olympic field in men's freestyle. Sadulayev has like 25 matches against all these guys.
He's wrestled Hushtin of Belarus like many times.
Every tournament, every Euros they're in, they wrestle each other. I think it's like 5 or 6 times they've wrestled within the last. And Sadulayev's only been at this weight, 2 years.
Yeah, he was bouncing up and down. UWW just posted the Sadulayev, 2-1 win over Sharifov when they were both at 92. Sharifov's an enigma because he went to that one tournament, lost to weird DeGlane,
Yep.
that was supposed to be a round robin. So he's supposed to see Snyder again, loses and then defaults out.
Yep.
And it's like, what kind of Sharifov are we going to see? He does turn it on in big tournaments, but how much tread left on the tires? I mean, him, he definitely looks better than some of the other guys. But Saritov and Ibragimov, I thought looked old in 2016. Now this is 5 years later.
Yeah.
How much they got left in the tank? I don't know. But
yeah, so Sharifov, and then he just lost at the Poland Open, or Zukowski, to Canedo first round. But then 2 weeks later, he went to the Dogu, and he won that tournament. And he beat, in the process, he beat the guy that he lost to at the Deglane. So maybe he's getting back to form for
and back up. Yeah, he did.
One more go.
What a weirdo. Why not just beat everybody like Sadalayev, except for the one or two guys or whatever? Why lose to people that you are clearly better than, Sharif? That's my question to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean...
Effort. Why give effort? That's why.
And then give yourself a non-seed, not get enough points to be ranked, and let, no offense, Yurgali and Nurov get seeds ahead of you. Those guys should not be seeded ahead of a guy like Sharifov.
Yeah,
but I don't hate the system. System is very clear in plain language. You could figure it out, like what you needed to do to get a seed. Sharifov just didn't do it.
Yeah, and not to give those guys too hard of a time.
Yeah, give them a hard time.
But they don't have wins over anybody else in the field than like each other. Yurgali and Nurov. And Nurov, I think, is 1-13.
1-13, right there.
Against the field.
That's not us being mean. That's you guys losing to everybody else in the field.
Yeah.
That's your fault, Nurov.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully, Nurov.
Don't, punch us next time you see us, but come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got Salas hanging out there too, who he's got to win over Mohammedian.
Speaking of punching people next time you see him, he's taking a few swings in some matches before. Yeah, open-handed.
Open hand.
Yeah. So that's 97. Hopefully, the easier draw would be Mohammedian and Sharifov on that top side with Sadulayev, but we'll see.
The last men's freestyle match could be Snyder-Sadulayev.
Is that the last day?
The last day, and then they're going to end with 50 kilos women's.
Wow.
But before that will be the 97 final.
We're going to be so tired that
we're going to be pretty
match.
wiped out by then,
If Snyder beats Sadulayev, we're just going to be...
I'm bringing some champagne.
Yeah.
We'll probably enjoy it whether he wins or not.
What are the odds for the hypothetical team title once again? Probably pretty low.
Probably pretty low.
Seeing as how we're down... what percent of 1/6 is.
Yeah, that many.
Yeah.
All right, 125.
125.
Want to go there? All right, Gable's weight. We have Gino Petrashvili up top. He's the 3-time defending world champion, and then so he's got the 1. Betimir Zayev from Kazakhstan as the 2 seed.
Yeah. Another one of those where it's like, come on.
Yes, I agree.
Kazakhstan.
I agree.
Yusuf.
Akul has won the 3 before Gino. So he won 14, 15, 16, and then...
Didn't he just win 2020?
The World Cup?
Yeah, he's got he beat him at Euros or something?
Yeah, he beat him at Euros. He always wins he always wins Euros.
You're right. He wasn't at 2020, but he was at Euros, and Geno didn't even make the finals.
Yeah, they met first round. And Akul won, I think it was like 6-1 or something like that. And then Kochanovitsky, is that how you say it, Spey? I know you like to say this last.
Oh, the Ukrainian Hosyanivsky?
There it is. Yeah.
I'm not as totally positive that that's it, but
it sounds right.
Roll with it.
Yeah,
Hosyanivsky.
Yeah. So
he's a solid guy. That's like, I don't think he's ever been like a final even, but he's always there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, he's solid. I think he beat Petrashvili in the past, or Akul. He beat one of those two guys.
From what I understand, he is the original outstanding Ukrainian.
That's what the tournament's named after?
Yeah, the outstanding Ukrainian international is named after Alexander Hosyanivsky.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, those are your top 4. Let's see. He beat Petrashvili at the 2018 Outstanding Ukrainian. So I think that's when they they named it after him.
That's when they said, "You are now the outstanding Ukrainian."
Yeah.
Here's your prize.
So here's my question to you, maybe before we show the bracket of death. Would you who do you think is a worse matchup for Gable, or does it not matter? Akul or Petrishvili?
I mean, I feel like they're both huge. But it all just depends on who's wrestling better that day. It's almost like a flip of a coin. I guess if I had to pick one, I'd say get Geno first and then Taha. But
You would rather him have Petrishvili first?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the same way. I know.
Brilliant minds.
Yep. I know Mike Mail. He thinks that Petrishvili is a tougher matchup than Akul. And I think he was saying just because of his variety of attacks and how athletic he is and how long.
It's a little more limber, yeah. He's got just crazy wingspan.
But yeah, I guess so. My thought.
He also shoots more though.
Yeah.
Which plays right into Gable's.
That's
offense.
exactly my thought. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a fearless shooter. Him and Gwiz both shoot a ton for international heavies. Yeah, you shoot on Gable, he's gonna score more often than not.
Yeah. Yep. So we can show the bracket of death that I created here. I gave him Zare first round. I think
He's looked great recently.
yes. Yeah, just cautioned out Gwiz at Poland Open, right? And he looks like the real deal. He's young. He was a cadet just in 2018, I think is when he won Cadet World.
He's like same age as Gable, right?
Yeah, probably real close, right? So I feel like he's like the next in line after Akul Petrishvili, and he would be a really tough match first round before Akul, and then I put Kozyrev.
That's your guy. You love him.
I like Kozyrev. Yeah.
You picking him to beat Deng?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he.
This is Kozak picking Kozyrev. Of course he's going to be picking him to beat Deng.
Deng has been around. Man, he's been around forever.
Dang it.
Yeah. And then the Belarusian Kremenko. I don't know if I said that right, but
Sounds right.
yeah, he's really tough. He had I think he had a 12-9 match with Petrishvili at Euros. He's coming up from 97 kilograms. He's a little bit younger as well, but he's really good. He beat Russia's kind of their other option in order to qualify at the Euro qualifier, Shripov, who's another young heavyweight guy. So I think Zare and then Akul and then the winner of Kozyrev and the Belarusian, I think, is the toughest road for Gable to the finals, where he'll probably meet Petrishvili.
Giannis Kramiankov.
Yeah.
From Belarus. I think that looks like the death march, the death draw. But again, it's like, I got high hopes for Gable. He's my pick.
Yeah.
For gold. Just because it's like, certain people have their time having the, delayed a year, worked great for Gable, giving himself another year to develop and work on, some of his just maturity that was going to happen, whether he was working or not, but he seems pretty focused. It's like, he's got a plan. He wants to prove himself, hasn't won the big one yet, hasn't won the Olympics, and he knows what winning the Olympics can do. But we'll see. It's pretty tough up top there. It's pretty crowded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm interested. I really want to see Gable against Zare. I want to see him destroy him, right? But I think people have. I've read different responses to rankings. They're like, oh, you think Gable's the 7th best guy in this bracket or whatever, the rankings. Or Gable should be ranked, whatever, top 3. And it's like, it's similar to the conversation that you guys often have with Ben, where with like a freshman coming in who doesn't have any matches against anybody, and so like that's where Gable's at. Like,
rankings are based on data and results.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
Predictions.
Yeah.
And we can say this because he's out there throwing discs and having his pro-am and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're in Wisconsin throwing Frisbees around in the woods, we're here telling you that you need to stop it with that nonsense and realize that we're ranking according to an oath, according to results that happened and not wishful thinking or what we assume will happen. It's based off data.
That's right.
Ben.
Yeah. So those are our brackets of death. I don't know if we want to talk about 65 at all.
I don't not want to talk about 65.
All right, we can talk about 65 real quick. I didn't make a bracket of death, but it's still a really good weight.
I feel like everything's a bracket of death. It's 65.
Yeah, 65 is really good, top to bottom. There's maybe 5 guys who, if they medaled, you'd be like, oh, that was very very surprising. But you got Rashidov, who's defending world champion, up at number 1. You got Bajrang.
Rashidov, who's going to lose in the semifinal, most likely to Musakayev.
Yeah,
you love Musakayev.
That's right.
There's a lot to love.
Whom amongst us does not love Musakayev?
Yeah, I've never met anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Musakayev with the 4. He won world bronze 2019. And then Niazbekov from Kazakhstan is the 3.
Didn't he just wrestle terribly, Niazbekov?
Maybe.
Wait, he took 7th at the Aliyev.
At the Aliyev?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did he wrestle Pantaleo with...
Oh, here's what happened. So he lost to Bajrang at the Aliyev, like 9-0. And then Bajrang lost.
Hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt, so he was out. But yeah, you're right. Also that he lost to Pantaleo twice, which I think is not, like, I don't think there's a lot of shame in that. But
no, especially it was at 70.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So that might, work in Niazbekov's favor when he's back down at 65. But I mean, those guys are right around there too. Valdez is super tough from Cuba. Haji Aliyev is a legend. And then Gadzhiev and Musakayev, that top 10 is gnarly.
Yeah. And I know we were talking about this the other day. Nomad put that tweet out there where he thinks Aliyev is the only guy who can.
Classic Nomad take. The only one that has a chance, or how did he worded it? Where it was like no one else is even worthy of discussion or something. With Rashidov. Yeah,
which there is a case to be made for that, but Otaguros, he is, to think that he won't be in a match with Rashidov,
right?
And then even Bajrang or Musakayev.
I like my guy Tavanian for Armenia. I feel like he is the same as Gable. This extra year helped him. He's super young, and then he has been beating everybody recently. Look, Rashidov is still a slight favorite, but if it's like, these lightweights, they're young guys, weight classes. They're for the younger guys to come in and take over. It's a constant cycle of new dudes. I think this might be Tavanian's time.
Yeah. And he was super impressive at the World Cup in December.
He looked amazing.
He won the weight class. He beat Musakayev in the finals, and that was after Musakayev beat Aliyev to make the finals. So yeah, if there's a guy that is unproven and you want to see and is going to be drawn in and watch, it's Tavanian from Armenia. He looks to be the real deal.
Yeah, and then in the qualifying tournament, I believe it was the European one, which is probably the equal of toughness to the 2020 individual world championship. You don't have Russia in there, but Haji Aliyev had to be there to qualify. Kılıçdaroğlu of Turkey was kept out. Kinchikashvili was basically retired after that. Gadzhiev couldn't make it, had to go to the world qualifier. It's a tough bracket, and he didn't walk through it, but he beat everybody.
Do you have that in front of you? Did he beat Aliyev there?
He took first.
Okay.
I think they wrestled that match. I don't think Aliyev did the walkover.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he did beat Aliyev there.
I could find out really quickly, but yeah, it's just a fun weight class.
Yeah, it's probably
Unfortunately, it sucks also because there's no American to root for. But the good news is it's like you don't have to when 65 is coming up, you can look forward to every match because there's no nerves. You shouldn't be nervous about who's coming up, who's the American have next, who does it would be Oliver, who'd he be wrestling. You can just kind of tune in and be like, I'll just root for whoever.
Yeah, and
just enjoy good wrestling. A little surprised now thinking about it. Mongolia doesn't have much of a medal, like best chance of a medal anywhere. I guess they're Denabat at 57. But Tumir Ocher, I don't think he's got much of a chance. I think Ernazar Akhmedaliyev of Kyrgyzstan has got a better shot.
Yes.
Than Mongolian. I don't think any of the...
Yeah, Akhmedaliyev is really fun to watch, too. He's the guy that pinned Bekbulatov at the Asian qualifier. But yeah, that's a good point. That with Mongolia, usually you see them bring home a medal or two, and I think they only have 3 qualified in men's freestyle. Their heavyweight is also qualified, which don't really see him doing anything.
Yeah, no, I don't either. That heavyweight. Don't want to completely write him off, but let's go ahead and say he's got no chance.
All right. So that's the brackets of death
talk.
Yeah, Olympic talk. Brackets of death.
Oh yeah, it was 9-0. Tavanian over Aliyev.
9-0.
Just getting that in there. Yeah, they wrestled it. Aliyev may not have been given 100% because they both already qualified at that point, but they wrestled.
Right. Okay. Cool. I drove that bus.
Okay.
You drove it.
Next bus, a discussion kind of started over the weekend. It's an interesting topic. UNC assistant coach Tony Ramos tweeted out, might be an unpopular opinion, but in time, if the ACC had all their schools add wrestling, they would pass the Big Ten for best conference. Clearly, the fans at home did not agree, as 82% said no, voted no.
Have you accounted for the potential margin of error of the polling data?
No, I did not.
They're usually plus 2 or 3%, plus minus.
Okay, so 79% said no. But it's still an interesting topic and a fun one to kind of debate and maybe kind of dive into the data and see what we think. What do you think? Spade?
I think we should dive into it.
Well, do you think that within time the ACC could?
Oh, you want my take on Tony's take?
Yeah.
I think, look, you have to make a lot of assumptions. Is it possible? I mean, first of all, you need all these D1 Power 5 conference schools to start wrestling programs, and I would not hold my breath for one of those big established universities from doing it. Unfortunately, not many D1 schools are looking to add more costs to their bottom line, and that's what a wrestling program would be at a school in the ACC that doesn't already have wrestling. And that goes for, I'm not trying to say just the ACC, but just about any team. There's some Pac-12 teams that I think make the most sense. There's some Big 12 teams that I think make a lot of sense. But the fact that a school like there's no D1 schools in Texas, even though Texas has tons of high school wrestlers, and the University of Texas has an endowment of $20 billion or whatever it is, and they basically said unless you raise like $100 million, we're not starting a team. So those are the kind of conversations that the admins of these big schools are having with donors that want wrestling teams, and it's basically doing everything possible not to start these teams. So that's like the biggest roadblock to the ACC, overtaking the Big Ten in time, is the fact that I would love the ACC to have a full complement of programs, but Notre Dame is a perfect example of a school that is in the ACC for non-football sports. And
occasionally football.
And occasionally, if it's in their benefit or whatever. But, I mean, they dropped their program, and it was like everybody in the wrestling world, I don't know how many people remember that, but that was a big deal. They had a donor, it was endowed, and the school just said, no, we'd rather have that money for football and maybe basketball because that's all they care about. And that's the state of the NCAA. And, it's wrestling-rich, northern Indiana. It's a school that, could have wrestling if they wanted to. They can certainly afford it. But they don't. So, but if they all have teams, then and then they all invest in top tier wrestling for sure. The ACC would be right up there. The institutions at the ACC are just a bigger draw for talent. Their campuses, the overall package.
Probably better locations.
Warmer weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. I you can't deny that. Your winters
on the East Coast too.
in Atlanta or North Carolina are not a little bit more hospitable than Michigan and Ohio.
It would obviously take a lot of time, though. Like, this isn't I don't even think a 10-year thing.
No, this is not in our lifetime type of thing.
Yes.
So I did think it was.
How long do you plan on living?
Well, we'll see. There's I can get on the Kyle Dick.
Well, I think it could be in our lifetime type of thing. If
maybe your lifetime, young person.
That's right. With modern technology, who knows how long I'll live?
I'm going to digitize.
You're basically already 6 feet under space.
Basically, yeah, I got 1 foot in. But once they digitize my consciousness and upload me to the virtual cloud, yeah.
all schools get wrestling and get buy-in. This is obviously a completely hypothetical situation. This will never happen in our lifetimes. So I think the ACC is 15 teams, I believe, total. So you get those. That would give them one more school. Then the Big Ten, you get buy-in from all the administration. So they're not just left hanging or whatever. And then good coaching and Kale and Tom Ryan, or not Tom, well, Tom Ryan too. Tom Ryan, Tom Brands retire.
And the Big Ten kind of starts tailing off a little bit too.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So let's look at these schools.
Because they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right. That's the other thing is it's the you have to continually improve just to keep up with the other teams that are continuing to improve.
Yeah.
So the ACC right now you have UNC, NC State, Pittsburgh, Duke, Virginia Tech, and who did I miss in there? That's it. Those are the wrestling teams, right?
Yes, there's 6 schools.
You also have Georgia Tech, which should have a program, but it's the same deal. I mean, they're the majority male students, so Title IX is less of a concern in starting a program. There's tons of talent in Georgia. They have plenty of money, but it's not on their list of priorities. You have Miami, Florida. There's just all sorts of talent in Southern Florida for all sports, but plenty of wrestling talent as well. I don't see them starting a program. Wake Forest, they're a basketball school. Syracuse had a storied program when they were in the EIWA, had some national champs. Not a priority for them. Same with Notre Dame. Louisville would be nice for Kentucky to get the first D1 program. They're a basketball school, don't see it. Florida State, they're a football school. Clemson, likewise, and Boston College had a program.
This will never happen.
No, but that's why it's like, yeah, like if you assume all these things that have
right,
the chance of any one of those universities adding a wrestling team is unfortunately just vanishingly small. Just the nature of NCAA D1 athletics. What would be interesting, though, is if there's a big shakeup. I thought COVID had the possibility. Remember when COVID was first shutting things down? There was no basketball tournament. Will we have a football season? It was like, all right, NCAAs just tear it up and start over from scratch. I thought there was an opportunity for a big shakeup where it's like, okay, they're no longer people can't count, or the admins can't count on D1 as being a moneymaker. So don't count on football or basketball revenue coming in. Well, now you need to go back to, or you need to go to the strategy that D2 and D3 often employ, which is let's get tuition dollars, let's get our enrollment up, let's get as many reasons to get people to apply and attend as possible, and that's what your sports teams would be used for again, and then you would be looking to add teams again. The NIL and the rest of the pay for play debates and all that stuff, that has a chance to shake up the NCAA. But if the NCAA is on its current course and doesn't get majorly shifted, I mean the paying players or something has to happen to completely rock the boat to convince admins and presidents and alumni that it's a good idea to spend $2 million a year on a wrestling program. And right now there's just no appetite for a $2 million a year expense. So that's my take. Is it's never happening, but if it does, sure.
Yeah, and I think maybe,
Hot take. Wow.
Tony Ramos's point was that, if you take what the ACC is right now, and they only have whatever 6 schools, and if you could just magically,
It's almost like 5.5. Not to discredit Duke, but like no
No
scholarships.
scholarships, private school that costs $70,000 a year, some insane
And
number.
incredibly hard to get into.
Yep, and
But
then
it-
academic standards.
if you could like magically double that, and then put
and double it again.
and then double it again. No, but like you put their success that they've been having and the trend that they're on, and how concentrated their talent is, and maybe it's a good time to bring up your by the numbers article. But for only having 5.5 or 6 schools, they're still really tough.
Yeah.
They still have a lot of success.
It's them and the Big 12 are basically tied for the number 2 conference right now, and the Big 12 has twice as many schools.
Yeah, especially all the ACC schools are full members. So if you just look at the full members of the Big 12, I think the ACC overtakes them as far as just
And
output.
you look at what they've done in the past 10 years and the growth they've put in, whereas like the Big 12 has almost kind of gone the opposite route since what it was in the early 2000s, say, when they had Nebraska. And
Oklahoma was producing more.
Oklahoma was producing more. Oklahoma State was
recently.
winning.
Right, Oklahoma State was winning, and even not even that.
OU.
Yeah, not even that long ago.
Yeah.
In the 2010s, you had Oklahoma, real competitive, putting together, team trophy hunting teams.
Yeah.
But if you go by school, so the last 5 years, we have that graph that I just threw together, and so 2020 is, not. We didn't have the tournament, but I counted based either on seeds or rankings. I forgot how I did it, which one of them they were, but close enough. So take them, average these a little bit, or round them. But the Big Ten
Margin of error.
over the last 5 years, the Big Ten produces 2.5 All-Americans per school per year. The ACC 1.5 All-Americans per school per year. So the Big Ten, even when you normalize for the number of schools, is still producing more All-Americans than the ACC. But they're up there. They're more. That's better numbers than the Big 12, EIWA, MAC, Pac-12, and SoCon. The ACC, their output per school is number 2. That is pretty much undeniable.
Yeah. Do we have what they did this year, like number of All-Americans and stuff like that? I think we can.
In that article, yes, we do.
Yeah,
Here it
pull that
comes.
up.
Maybe hard to read. We can look up those numbers.
All-Americans by points at the 2020 NCAA Wrestling Championships by conference. The Big Ten had 43.5%, Big 12 at 19.4%, and the ACC with 14.3% of the total amount of points. So once again, the Big 12 slightly leading the ACC there, but fairly close. And when you consider, obviously, the more qualifiers and teams the Big 12 has.
Yeah, so in the article, you got to scroll basically to the middle where it goes to by conference. So the pie chart only has less slices in it. Tyler's trying to find any article. There's a lot in there. There we go. That's it. I know, up a little bit.
And
It's that one and the chart above it.
Yeah, and looking at finalists, the ACC had more finalists than the Big 12. The Big 12 had 3, ACC with 4.
That's the night. Yeah, it comes up pretty good.
Big 10 with 10 finalists. All-Americans, the Big 10 had 35, Big 12 16, ACC 12.
And of course, EIWA was without the Ivy League schools, which takes away a lot of their heavy hitters. So you see the points that they scored goes way down. I get where Tony's coming from. I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea that the ACC, put some respect on that conference's name, because they are doing big things for only having 6 teams. But to catch the Big Ten, they have to do more than just double the number of teams they have, or have a full complement of programs for all their schools.
Yeah.
I will say ACC keep up the Friday night duels.
Yeah.
I did love those last season.
It makes for some thrilling rivalries when you have 6 teams and 5 of them extremely competitive. And you get some good stuff out of Duke too.
Yeah, there's a good comment in the Facebook chat. Aaron Sweezy's talking about the Pac-12 and kind of how they're getting it and allowing more associate members, and maybe this is a conversation that we'll have in a couple of years. We'll have we'll see the rise of the Pac-12 and kind of their strength, and maybe they'll begin to challenge the ACC and the Big 12 with what is going on out west. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I would love to see all the conferences and all the Power 5 conferences and Power 5 schools succeed in wrestling and have successful wrestling programs.
What the Pac-12 has going for it too is the things that the Power 5 conferences have, which are like their networks. The schools themselves have really big brands, so even though USC and UCLA don't have teams themselves, they bring a lot of heft to the fact that Arizona State, Stanford, Oregon State are part of a major conference, the biggest conference on the West Coast, which is a pretty big deal.
Yes, alumni network and brand, and like that equals fans basically. That's what's huge and would be big for increasing wrestling, the sport, and is at the college level. Especially, it's awesome when a program, a Presbyterian program, gets added. That's great, but like it wouldn't compare to a insert ACC school or Pac-12 school adding a program just to the number of eyeballs and fans it would bring in to watch a dual meet, a wrestling tournament, anything.
What we got to do is we got to convince these billionaires to stop trying to go into space. Shut up about space already. Stop trying to fly into space and start some wrestling
Dump all
programs
your money in wrestling.
In Power 5 programs. Go, all right, Elon Musk and Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos. That's cool. You're in space. But what if each one of you started a team in Georgia Tech, UT, and USC, and then you all competed to try to win national championships there with your billions? Probably it would be tougher than going into space, you'd find. So why don't you take on a real challenge, you cowards?
A challenge.
That's right.
We got to clip that segment and
you billionaires. I have a real
Elon.
challenge for you, you stupid space people.
Yeah, build your own dank teams.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that brings us to a close today. 9:35 from deep in the heart of Texas. We're out of time today. Andrew Spencer Spay, John Kozak. Same time again tomorrow, 8:15 a.m. See y'all then. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah.